Welcome back to the southern region of Gros Morne National Park. From our base at Le Morne Campground, we have spent the last few days exploring the surrounding area. After a brief stop at the small town of Woody Point, and then a visit to the nearby Discovery Centre, we then took the 2-mile hike to Tablelands, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Tablelands is not your typical geological formation, but it's actually a chunk of the Earth's mantle, which is the layer of the planet that lies hundreds of kilometres below the crust. Without getting too technical, the Tablelands are an extremely rare occurrence where two tectonic plates crashed into each other hundreds of millions of years ago, dragging the mantle up with them above the Earth's surface. It would then have taken another 100 million years for the mantle to be exposed by erosion and glacial activity. It's a pretty complicated subject to understand, but hopefully this gentleman will help clear things up.
Well, good afternoon. Welcome to a dull, overcast afternoon, but at least it's dry. We are here today in an area of Gros Morne National Park called Tablelands. And the Tablelands area is actually formed from the Earth's mantle. All around us, every other hill, every other mountain, every other valley is lined with trees, very lush meadows, beautiful. This is completely barren, it's completely different rock. Now, those of you that follow us closely will remember my strong volcanic geologic knowledge from when we was at the Volcanoes and Craters National Park, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to pull on it again to try and explain how this area here was formed. And basically you have the Earth's surface, you have the crust, right in the middle is the core, and between the core and the crust is the mantle. And the mantle has forced its way up through many technical and quite scientific reasons, which I know I understand, obviously. I don't want to bore you with it. But I've got my hands on a little piece of the mantle here. This I'm calling mantelpiece. And I'll take this home and maybe guess where I'll put it.
You won't take it home.
Okay, I won't take it home, but if I did take it home, I'd put it on the... No, on the shelf. I will dispose of... Yeah, so we've just hiked about 2 miles from the car park up to here. If it's a nicer day, you can continue your hike up and onto the top of this. This valley here has been formed by glaciers in the past, but you can climb up on top, but there's no point today because there is going to be no view at all.
While the rocks in Tablelands are pretty toxic to most plants, there is one plant in particular that seems to favour this hostile environment, and that is the meat-eating pitcher plant. The pitcher plant gets its nourishment from insects that are trapped and then drowned in a pool of enzymes at the base of its tubular leaves. And for an extra point, did you know that more than 100 years ago, Queen Victoria chose the pitcher plant to be engraved on a newly minted Newfoundland penny, and then in 1954, the cabinet of the time designated this plant to be the official flower of the province. On our final day at Le Morne Campground, we took the scenic drive to the small harbour town of Trout River, where we did a couple of short hikes, one on either side of the bay. while our time at Le Morne campground had come to an end, we weren't leaving Gros Morne National Park just yet. We were heading a few miles further north to a new campground at Berry Hill. The main benefit of Berry Hill is that there are 3 hikes that you can take directly from the campground, which meant for us that we could head out each day without having to pack up the vehicle. The first hike on our list was the 10-kilometre or 6-mile hike to Baker's Brook Falls, a series of waterfalls that cascade over limestone ridges.
We're just returning back from Baker's Brook Falls, and there's a slight deviation off here into what's called a moose exclosure. So rather than keeping moose in, it's keeping moose out. And I think the idea here is to demonstrate the difference between how the vegetation grows out here, where the moose are free to roam, and in here. And it's startling the difference between the growth in here. It's so overgrown. You get behind Chrissy.
A lot of fir trees.
So we're going to go and have a little bit of moose heaven if he was allowed in. Could do with a bit of thinning out in here, really.
It's a bit thick.
Yeah. There's 6 moose out here asking if they can come in.
Don't believe it. There we go.
This path that we've just walked on to the falls is an old logging path, and this area, they were saying, used to be very much like inside here originally, before the moose. The moose were introduced to Newfoundland in 1904. They originally brought 4 moose in to provide some meat for some of the rural communities, and I forget the exact date, but before you know it, there was 120,000 on the island, and apparently there's still around 5,000 moose here in Gros Morne National Park. And it's not so much, I think in the summertime the moose eat a lot of growth grasses and juicier stuff, but in the wintertime they just eat twigs, and the effects of the damage that causes to the trees and the shrubs around here is much longer lasting. But that's what happens when you mess with nature.
And talking of nature, back at the campground, we were treated to the sight of a short-tailed weasel transferring its young from an old nest site to a new one.
Welcome to the top of Berry Hill. Just there is the entrance to the Berry Hill campground. The campground is actually in that area there, which you can't see because of the trees in the moment, but it's just to the left of that pond. Back down here
And if I move over slightly, I think you can just see the boardwalk down there that sort of snakes its way through. That's what we followed yesterday, that took us out to the Baker's Brook Falls, right over in the back there, in that valley just in there. That was a sort of 6 mile plus hike to the falls. Today we've done a shorter hike but a steeper hike up to the top of this berry hill. We're going to wander back shortly, just wander around that pond, as they call it over there, that you can see. And then we've got an afternoon of chores. Got some washing to do, showers to have, tidying to do, because tomorrow we have a day off from hiking and we're going on a boat ride. There's the hill, Berry Hill, that's where we were earlier, up the top of that. Just down here you can see some of the cabins that are on the campground. We're actually behind them. They're for the posh people. There's supposed to be beaver here. I've seen Swedish beaver. Never seen Canadian beaver. Keeping my fingers crossed. So today is boat ride day, and the boat is going down that fjord that you can just see in there. Can't see the water yet, but it's a 3-kilometre hike to get to the boat, and then apparently it's a 2-hour tour along the full length of the fjord, where I believe they'll explain the geology. There's lots of big waterfalls and some Newfie diddly-dee music, I believe.
And an excited Chrissy.
Yes, very nice to be looked after for a day rather than us having to provide our own entertainment. It's nice as we can just sit back here and let somebody else take the strain. And what a beautiful day it is. Bit brisk. Breezy.
It's windy.
And a bit of a nip in the air, but could be a lot worse. So we'll take it. The outfit operating the boat trips had, up until today, only been making 1 trip a day. And with the season progressing, today was the first day they had operated 2 tours. I thought it might be a bit quieter, but no, it wasn't. And I did feel a little like cattle being herded aboard, along with a coachload of teenagers and a group of senior citizens. One gentleman, bless him, was aged 92, and he had managed the 3-kilometre walk to the boat, only to then sleep through the whole of the 2-hour tour. Once in the shelter of the fjord and out of the wind, we enjoyed the majestic scenery and tried to keep up with the fast-talking guide.
It's actually the roots of an old mountain chain and part of the Canadian Shield. And in studying mountains, geologists have learned that the roots of a mountain chain can extend down into the earth at least as deep as the height of the mountains themselves. So it is possible that at one time these mountains could have been as high as the Himalayas. But now all that remain are these ancient uplifted roots. The long-range mountains extend from Port Basque all the way to St. Anthony. These are the northeastern portion of the Appalachian Mountains.
spoke to said that this boat trip was the highlight of their trip to Newfoundland. But with so much beauty to be found right across the island, I don't think I could actually say the same. The day after the boat tour was our final day at Berry Hill, and we became Sunday drivers, taking a little poodle out to see the local sights. First stop was the lighthouse at Lobster Cove Head. Then we were off to the coastal town of Rocky Harbour before our final stop at Norris Point. It was while we were here at Norris Point that we spotted a harp seal on a floating dock, and we were interested to see how it would react to the incoming tour boat. Our time in Gros Morne National Park had gone by very quickly, and it was now time for us to continue heading north. Our next stop would be Pistolet Bay Provincial Park, but that is not for this video, it's for the next. So thanks for watching, and see you soon.